Hi, I'm John. This is my show, An American Scheme, where I'm proving that Diana Ross is Michael Jackson's actual mother. So the whole concept of my story started with that question that I asked. Can Diana Ross be Michael Jackson's actual mother? Okay, at that point, I don't know Smokey Robinson's Michael Jackson's father. I have to go do the research, and through the investigation, I found the evidence which exposed that Smokey Robinson's Michael Jackson's real father. So one of the questions that I got asked, first of all, I'm asked by all kinds of people that Michael's appearance appears to be the same as the Jacksons. And it's like, well, he was raised in the Jackson family. You have been bombarded with the propaganda of the Jacksons, the imagery of the Jacksons, our whole life, up until the point where Michael Jackson died. It is whole life. And Michael Jackson's the biggest star ever, right? So we're bombarded with this imagery that Michael's a Jackson. And then so you're going to assume that you're going to either, whether he didn't look like him or not, because if you look at the difference, look at somebody like Tito. He looks so fucking different than Michael Jackson. It's so far different, right? But people think that Michael looks like Tito. They think he looks like they think they all look alike and shit, right? So one of the things recently was Matt's FTR. Matt's FTR... I'm saying, ask me questions. I beg people to ask me questions because I can answer all the questions. I've got enough information. I've been asked these questions, so I've developed answers for these questions, and I've found the corresponding evidence for which to prove it and stuff. So it's no problem. The problem is that they can't deal with it. These people, they're slaves. And when I say these people are slaves, like, I am not joking. You're slaves. Hollywood has manipulated and controlled your mind and put you in a trance-like state, and they've bred you to be slaves. They've taught you to look for the information of which they've already placed there for you to find the answers. So what happens is your brain never developed properly. And so, like, when I'm speaking to people like this, they can't deal with it. It's like, as soon as I start saying stuff, like right in the beginning when I'm saying this, okay, they can laugh at the beginning, right? But once I start getting into this and I start showing them, oh no, I've got evidence, I start showing them, they can't deal with it. So either they just turn it off, or they might watch the video, but after the video's over, it's because they have these slave minds that don't actually work. They're able to just disregard everything they've seen and just move on about their lives, okay? Me, because my mind is free and open, there's no possible way I could be exposed to like this video I'm making right here for you, okay? If I watch this video, there's no way I could possibly watch a video like this and not have it just stick in my head and have me constantly thinking about what I saw. And I would be trying to think about things, and I would try and counter it, see if I could counter it and see if my argument held up, but it won't hold up. My stuff will counter everything of what you do, and if you tried to counter anything I do, I've got much more evidence. This video I could make, and it could be 24 hours straight. I could just keep showing you and showing you and showing you and showing you. It would take me 24 hours straight 24 hours. I could just go on and go on. I've got so much stuff. Even this video where I'm going to put a fair amount of information in, right? It's still just a fraction. It's the tiniest little fraction of the evidence and the stuff and the arguments of what I would put up. So right there, it's like the first of all thing is like, there's no possible way I could have made this up. It's impossible. There's way too much stuff here, and it's all I didn't make this stuff up. I found it. It was there. It was there for me to find. Like I said, the information that they put there in the world, it's all there for you to find and shit, right? I didn't make this stuff up. It was there for me to find. The only way it could have been there for me to find is if it's true. Because they're not creating this. This is not some kind of illusion trick that they created that they wanted you to go back. It's like they didn't do that. They didn't want somebody to go back and they weren't their whole lives creating a conspiracy. That didn't happen. Who's believing that? You're going to tell me that they're creating a conspiracy so that when Michael Jackson died, that somebody would go back and claim to say that Diana Ross and Smokey Robinson are Michael Jackson's real parents? Because that's what you people are saying. The way that I found the information, there's only can be two answers. Either my story's true, because the only reason that the information's there is because it's true, or you're saying that they were building this conspiracy their whole lives so that I would then go back and find this information and I would create this story, this conspiracy story. It's like, are you serious? And I swear to God, the people are more likely to believe that. They're willing to believe that. They're willing to believe this crazy, they put that information there. They were building the conspiracy the whole time. They're willing to believe that. But they're not willing to believe that Diana Ross fucked Smokey Robinson and got pregnant. It's the oldest story in the book. The chick fucks a dude, she gets pregnant, but she's young. Smokey's right on the verge of trying to develop as becoming a star and working with Berry Gordy, so they give the kid away. The kid was an obstacle, which it was in their past to stop them from gaining the stardom of which that's the path that they were on. They had to give that kid away. When they give the kid away, they don't know that the kid's going to turn into Michael Jackson. What's the chances of that? Well, but when you look at the reality, it's like, well, his parents were Diana Ross and Smokey Robinson. Then when you see the actual gifts of what Michael Jackson actually have, now you can see, oh, well, he got the gifts. Those two made a child, and that child was Michael Jackson. That's why he's got all the gifts. But when they're giving them away, they're not thinking, oh, well, this kid's going to be gifted. He's going to have all the gifts of what was in our soul and what God gave us. He's going to have all these gifts, right? They're not thinking that. They don't know that he's going to turn into Mike. They don't know that Joe's going to recognize the talent, because Joe had a bunch of kids. Joe understood that his kids didn't have talent. That's why when Michael shows the talent, he recognizes this kid's got talent. This kid's got talent. Not only does he got talent, he's got a direct connection back to Berry Gordy and Motown, of which that's where the kid was given to Joe Jackson from, right? So then it was easy for Joe to recognize it, and not only recognize it, he knew that was his only chance out of Gary, Indiana. His only chance to get out of the steel mill and get out of Gary, Indiana. It was this kid, and he understands that the kid was given to him. It's like a gift from God. Joseph was smart enough to understand, God gave me a gift. I'm going to use it and go all the way with it. That's how it actually happened and shit, right? So, one of the things Matt's FTR, I try and get them to ask me a question, but they don't ask questions about my story, like the stuff that I'm putting there, like the information. They don't question the information of what I put out there. They can't challenge it anyway. What he does is he asks me a question based upon the information of what he was led to believe his whole life, right? So he asked me a question. He says, well, how come Michael and Tito have the same chin? Okay, because obviously Tito doesn't sing like Michael. He really doesn't even look like him. Tito's ugly as fuck. Looks just like Joe Jackson. They don't look anything alike. So he finds one little thing. Okay, like all the things that they're different, I can point out all the differences, but he looks for one similarity of which he's been enslaved to think that that's the truth, that Michael looks like them. It's because he's a slave and he can't think for himself, and he's referring back to his slave brain because that's all he can do. So he asked me a question. He says, how come Michael and Tito have the same chin? It's like, well, that's what you saw. You were bred to see that as they fooled you. That's propaganda. That's what they did through their Hollywood movie magic and shit. You're looking for one similarity when you can't recognize all of the differences and shit, right? So it's like, okay, that's what he pointed out. So you saw Michael and Tito their whole lives. Michael's a Jackson, right? Their whole lives, you saw all that stuff, and you were able to point out one similarity, the chin. Okay, now that's Michael living with the Jacksons and Michael being a Jackson, right? He points out one similarity. When I first came up with the thought of Michael being the son of Diana Ross, I don't even know Smokey Robinson's in the picture, okay? So then when I find Smokey Robinson, let's look at that. Let's look at their chins. There's Smokey's chin. See that line going right up there? See that chin? Just like Michael's. Same thing. So when I went and found the guy that's the actual father, there's the chins. They match up. Okay, so now this is not something that we were bred to see the whole time, right? But when I found out that it's Smokey Robinson's the father, okay, well, let's go look at the chin then. If that's the case, if you thought that Michael's chin looks just like Tito's, well, now let's compare Michael's chin to who I say is his real father. Do they match up? They sure as hell look fucking identical to me. Now let's look at the similarities. Is Smokey Robinson a really good singer with a soft voice? Yeah. Does Smokey Robinson, one of the greatest songwriters of all time? Yep, like a real artist. He can sing and he writes songs. Does Michael Jackson have real artistic abilities? Can he sing? Can he write songs? Yeah, he can, in a way that none of the Jacksons can sing like him or write songs like him. But the guy that I discovered as being the real father, he's got the similarities. He's got the same abilities. And now we're going to go on. I'm going to show you much more evidence here. And we're going to get into this. I'm going to show you. Let's get into this now. Let's show some evidence. So, I say that Billie Jean is the song that it's the one. It's Billie Jean is actually Diana Ross, and the song is about Diana Ross informing Michael Jackson that she was his real mother when Michael Jackson's about 10 years old. Right after the Jacksons signed to Motown and they moved to LA, they moved into Diana Ross's house. Diana Ross's first house, okay? So Diana Ross buys her first house and just welcomes the Jackson family in, right? But she welcomes it in and she instantly isolates Michael from the family, and she starts doing her own thing with Michael, right? And so This is the line of Billie Jean. So it's, she came and stood right by me, okay? She came and stood right by me. That woman was able to walk right up to Michael and stand right next to him. This is what the words say. And people get mad at me because I'm analyzing the words. It's like, dude, I'm not over-analyzing. Let's just simplify it and look at the words in as simplest form as you can be. But let's take it into the context of what I'm saying when this event really occurs and who it is that he's actually talking about. She came and stood right by me. Okay, this is, would a groupie have the power to do that? Because the song's about a groupie. It is about a groupie, but the groupie is Diana Ross being the groupie to Smokey Robinson. That's the actual groupie. And it's all everything about the Dirty Diana stuff, everything about what it is, it's Diana doing that to Smokey. And I'm going to show you the video to prove that. I'm going to show you a couple of videos. I'm going to prove this all. I have a lot of stuff here, but like I said, this is just a fraction of the stuff of what I could show you. It takes time because I have to actually explain some of this stuff, right? So she came and stood right by me, because it's Diana Ross. She's the older woman. She came and stood right by Michael. She didn't go stand next to Tito. It wasn't like she didn't care about any of them. It was only one. Because people will say, well, Diana was like a motherly figure to Michael. Oh, well, how come she was so motherly figure to Michael and not to any of the other kids? How come she's isolating this kid? How come she's isolating the one kid? And then how come she wasn't a motherly figure to Janet? If Janet had so much talent and so much ability because she becomes a star and she was so cute, but she didn't, Diana wasn't like that with Janet. They don't have that relationship. It was only one of them. There was only one of them that Diana was ever interested in. It's her actual child, Michael. Okay? She came and stood right by me. Then the smell of sweet perfume. Okay, she came and stood right by me. Then the smell of sweet perfume, that's Diana Ross. Diana Ross even has her Diana Ross perfume collection, Diamond Diana. You know, and Diana Ross is always known for smelling of sweet perfume. That's the essence of what she is. That's what she does. Then the smell of sweet perfume, because he's talking about an actual person. This is not some imaginary thing that he's making up. He's telling you, she came and stood right by me. Then the smell of sweet perfume, okay, but he's only 10 years old. Diana's like 20, 24, 25, she's 14 years older, you know, so say around that age, you know. So Diana's in her young 20s, she's hot. She's a good-looking woman. Not only is she a good-looking woman, this is Diana Ross of the Supremes, okay? Of which Michael would have had a crush especially black kid, but I'm especially any kid. It doesn't matter he's black, but I'm assuming because let's overemphasize it because Michael is black and the Motown's all black thing, right? But Diana Ross was pretty. I would think that most kids would have had a crush on her, whether they're white or black or not. She was a beautiful woman, right? So you've got this kid, Michael Jackson. He knows who Diana Ross is. He knows Motown. He knows the Supremes, right? Okay, Michael is just starting to become a star. Diana's a fucking star. And you have this woman, this star. She came and stood right by me, not by the rest of the family. No, she walked right up to me, and then in his head, he remembers the smell of sweet perfume, because this is Diana Ross. She's beautiful, and she smells sweet perfume, right? So then, let's go to the next line. This happened much too soon. Now, this is the thing. Michael said this happened much too soon. So something happened. Something happened here. Okay? This woman came and stood right by me with the smell of sweet perfume. This happened much too soon. So Michael's admitting that something did happen. And he admits that what happens with the next line. She called me to her room. Okay? Like I said, would a groupie have the ability just to walk right up to Michael? She came and stood right by me. And see how calm, he's not like, this woman's not acting like a groupie. She's smell of sweet perfume. He's not talking about her being like crazy fan and stuff. That's not what's happening. This woman's in control. She came and stood right by me. The smell of sweet perfume. She called me to her room. She called me. She's in charge because it's in her house. She called me to her room. This is what happened. Diana walks up to Michael. Michael, come with me. We're going to go to my room, and I'm going to tell you the true story about I'm your mother. That's what this song is about. Michael's the kid in the song. So she called me to her room. So Michael just confirmed that something happened much too soon, and it happened in the room of this woman, Billie Jean. Okay? So, but the next line, Billie Jean's not my lover. Okay, so Billie Jean's not my lover. Then what happened? What happened too much to... well, she called me to her room. Okay, well, this happened much too soon. So he's acknowledging that whatever it was that happened right there, it happened to him at what he's referring to as being a young age, because he says it happens much too soon. She calls me to her room, okay? But then the next line is Billie Jean's not my lover. Okay, so like this is the contradiction, what people don't understand. It's like you people have always, and Michael just let you think, he could not explain this to you, the real song. So whatever form of truth of the song that he was referring to you, he couldn't really refer to you the real meaning of the song. But now that I've done the whole song and the real evidence, and I can back it up with the dates and the facts, everything of what matches up perfectly, now you can actually understand it. So he admits that something happened much too soon, and it happened in the room of this woman, Billie Jean, who came and stood right by him and had the power to call him to her room, right? So Billie Jean's not my lover, because he's telling you. That's the main thing I'm trying to point out there, is that Michael acknowledges that something happened in that room, okay? And it happened much too soon. But what? What could it have happened? What was it? If he's not the lover, then what's the big deal? Why is this such a big deal? It doesn't make any sense when you guys are taking it in the context that Michael had sex with the groupie in the room, because Michael would have had to have sex with the woman in order for her to claim that Michael's the father of her child, okay? That's the whole thing. If Michael never has sex, if Michael doesn't go to the room with this woman and have sex with her, at least have some form of a sexual, like, lover type of thing, he had to have done something. And he acknowledges that something happened in that room. This happened she called me to her room. This happened much too soon. He's acknowledging that something happened in the room. But then he says she's not my lover. So what is it then that happened in the room? It's the next line. Okay, she's not my lover. She's just a girl who claims that I am the one. And the next line is, but the kid is not my son. So she's just a girl who claims that I'm the one. That's Diana. Diana takes Michael to her room, and Michael's only 10 years old. He was raised thinking he's a Jackson, right? So he's raised thinking he's a Jackson, but then Diana tells him, no, I'm your mother. She claims I'm the one. And what the one is she's telling Michael, you're the reason all this happened, because Diana got pregnant with Smokey, but had to give the kid away. That's what enabled Diana to have the super leverage over Smokey Robinson and Berry Gordy. That's what gives Diana leverage, which enables Diana then to move her way into Motown and move her way to being the head of the Supremes. So Michael's the one. Michael's the reason for all of this stuff happening. There's so much around that when she's just a girl who claims that I'm the one. So now when he's saying she's just a girl, because now she's just a girl. This isn't Diana Ross no more. This is just some woman now claiming, she's claiming I'm the one, And then Michael's the one because he is the only child from Diana and Smokey. And look at the way he turned out, that's why Michael's the one. She's just a girl who claims that I'm the one. Get to the next line here. Okay, she claims I'm the one, but the kid is not my son. People have always interpreted that Michael is saying that line, the kid is not my son. It's not, it's Diana. She's just a girl who claims that I'm the one, but the kid is not my son. That's both. Diana claims both things. She tells Michael, you're my son, but you're also a Jackson. So in public, it's going to stay the same way. You have to stay a Jackson. You're actually officially a part of the Jackson family. That's what I say about this. That's why Michael says this happened much too soon. What happened much too soon is Diana embraces him and informs him that you're the one, you're the reason for all this stuff, but then she rejects him. The kids, but you're not my son. In public, I will reject you as my son. She jokes around with it and says stuff like that. But in the reality, she forced him to stay a Jackson. So she embraces him, you're the one, and she rejects him by telling him, but you're officially a Jackson. You've got to remain a Jackson now because the Jackson 5 and all of the stuff of what's going on. That's what these words actually mean. That's why this song was so important to Michael Jackson. Everything about it. It's Billie Jean, and this is the song that actually is his explaining of what happened when he moved into Diana Ross's house, that she told him the truth. That's what the song is. That's why she called She called me to her room. This happened much too soon. Just the smell of sweet perfume. It's Diana Ross. She's not my lover. She's just a girl who claims that I'm the one, but the kid is not my son. She just claimed that I'm the one, but then she rejected me. She brought me in and embraced me, and then she rejected me again. That's how it all happened much too soon. How can I be making this shit up? This is more clear and obvious than anything that you've ever been exposed to, but for some reason, how smart do you think I am to be able to have the ability to make this up? Are you fucking kidding me? There's no way I could have made this up. The only reason I can do this is because it's real, and I found it, and I see it. That's all there is to it. So now I'm going to show you a bunch more stuff here. So let's go and show you the first thing here. This is Diana explaining the whole thing on the Arsenio Hall show. This is the super important one. Diana Ross is going to tell you about her first love. Now, when you go back and trace the actual dates of what she's saying, she's like 14 years old here. Okay, so now this is Diana Ross in 1991, you know, and when she's going back to tell you upon stuff, now she's an older woman, but for some reason she thinks it's important to put this information out there. Like I said, I didn't find this. I did not create this information, but Diana Ross thought it was important enough to go on the Arsenio Hall show and expose this information to the world so it could be discovered at a later date. So now let's listen to this.
But who was your first love, though? Yeah, who was that?
You mean, are you talking about man, are you talking about man love?
Oh, yeah, I should have specified that. I'm sorry.
Smokey Robinson was my first love. I really loved him.
Okay, so Smokey. That's what I'm saying. When I'm looking for, well, who's the father? You know, I had to go back and find where was Diana Ross at the time of which Michael would have been conceived and through her pregnancy, right? I had to find the stuff, and I had to find, well, who was there? Who had the opportunity at the time? And through all of my process of searching, then I found this one where she just confesses, and she confesses all of it. You got to listen to this little details when she says she's best friends with Smokey's, I think she says cousin, but it's actually Smokey's niece because I've done the real investigation, and she specifies Sharon Burston because it's Smokey Robinson's niece is living in Smokey Robinson's house because Smokey Robinson's mother died when Smokey was 10 years old. Smokey Robinson's older sister moved into the house and raised Smokey, and she had younger children. One of her younger children, which would be Smokey Robinson's niece, Sharon Burston, is best friends with Diana Ross. This is how, because they always talk about Smokey and Diana having a relationship, and they talk about them living on the same street on Belmont. But what they don't overemphasize is that Diana Ross was best friends with Smokey's niece, Sharon, and because of that friendship, Diana is allowed to sleep over in that house. And what she's telling you right here is she's sleeping in Smokey Robinson's house, and she's in love with him at the actual time of which Michael Jackson would have been conceived. I could not make this up. The only way it could be true in my story is that I found it. It was there. It was there for me to find, and it only could have been there for me to find if my story's true.
People think my life or my career started with Motown, but really started with Smokey. Smokey lived on Belmont. We lived on the same street. Mm-hmm. I was very close with his cousin, Sharon Burston. Mm-hmm. And I used to sleep over. You know, I kids had sleepovers at Sharon's house, and I used to listen to the Miracles sing in the basement. And that was before I came to Motown. That was before the Supremes. And to me, I loved him. Because there was a time where when I first heard his record on the radio and I realized that you might be able to sing and make a record, I mean, it was like major time. So I think maybe first love of maybe with Smokey.
Okay, so, and she tells you right there that at that time when she's sleeping over at Smokey's house and she's in love with him, she also realizes, because what happens is Smokey Robinson met Berry Gordy in August of 1957. This is super well documented. I could show you 100 pieces of proof about it. Totally documented. It's in August of 1957. So Michael Jackson is born 1 year after Berry Gordy meets Smokey Robinson. 1 year after that, Michael's born. So that means he's conceived just a few months after that, right? What's happening at that time? Diana's sleeping in Smokey Robinson's house at the time Michael Jackson's conceived. She's telling you she's in love with him, but not only she's in love with him, she realizes now that Smokey being a singer and actually being on the radio, she understands that this is real. And she told you her whole career starts with Smokey Robinson. It doesn't start with Motown. Her whole career starts with her relationship with Smokey. But then after she gets pregnant by Smokey and agrees to abandon the child so that Smokey could develop Motown with Berry Gordy, now she's got leverage over Berry Gordy and Smokey Robinson, which when you see her life situation play out, and they call her the boss. Why does Diana Ross known as the boss? Is because she had that leverage of what the deal that she had made with Smokey and Berry to so they could develop Motown properly, but she had to get rid of that child because that's a scandal. Berry Gordy would not risk his whole company, building his company around Smokey Robinson, if Smokey Robinson had a child from a 14-year-old girl in the neighborhood. Not only would that cause scandal to ruin Smokey Robinson's career, that would ruin Berry Gordy's whole image. It could ruin his whole career, of which Berry Gordy was a very accomplished songwriter before this event occurs. He's very accomplished, very well established. So, and he doesn't know how Motown's going to develop. They don't know, but he's trying. He knows that they've got something working, but he's not going to risk all of that over this scandal that is right there brewing. So what do? And you find out that Berry Gordy and Joe Jackson are the same age. They were both fighting in the Golden Gloves at the same time. After that, they pursued music interest, and they were in the same areas and stuff. You think that Detroit's over there and Gary, Indiana, but there's a big thing in Chicago. And I go into that, but there's a lot more stuff. But Chicago is the big city, and there's, like I said, I've got massive information. That's what I'm saying. I could go on for a whole day just showing you stuff over and over and over that I've done this investigation. I can show it all to you, but it takes an immense amount of time and effort. First of all, I don't have the time to do it because I'm so busy taking care of my dad and shit, right? So I try and make these videos as best I can, but these are extremely hard for me to make a video like this, to put something quality like this together and explain it. And then I know that the minds of the people out there are so enslaved and stuff that they can't absorb it and stuff, right? So I'm going to show you now this. This is I'm going to show you because people don't understand that Diana and Smokey, when they talk about their relationship and stuff, right? It's like, no, okay. This is in 1985, I believe. This is Diana Ross and Smokey Robinson at Caesar's Palace. This is a performance, right? And they're singing the song Missing You. Okay, the song Missing You was supposed to be a tribute song to Marvin Gaye, because Marvin Gaye was murdered by his father, right? And so Diana Ross had done a song Missing You about Marvin Gaye, right? So this song should have like sad overtones to it. The song Missing You, this is a song about Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye and Smokey Robinson were best of buddies, right? Diana Ross did the song to Marvin Gaye after he's murdered. But look at this song and look at the happiness and joy that are in these two people. It doesn't look like the song's actually about Marvin Gaye. This song looks like it much more relates to Diana Ross and Smokey Robinson abandoning their child and shit, right? Because look at the joy between them, and look at the relationship, I know there's a better word I can't think of right now, but the way that Smokey and Diana interact. People think that Diana and Michael were in a relationship. It's like you will never find anything with Michael and Diana that looks like this. And it's like, that's what I'm telling you, that like I didn't make up this Smokey stuff, I found it. And then when I went to show you, I've got Diana saying she's sleeping in Smokey's house and in love with him at the time that Michael's conceived. This is right after Smokey gets divorced from his wife. As soon as that happens, now let's see how they interact with each other. This is Smokey and Diana. Michael Jackson's real parents. I'm missing you. Look at the joy. This is supposed to be about Marvin Gaye being murdered.
Sometimes I wonder, I didn't understand just where I'm trying to go. Only you knew your plan. I tried to be there, but you wouldn't let me in. But now you've gone away, boy. I feel so broken heart. I knew the day we started that we were meant to be. Only you and I what you gave to me, Smokey. Your heart, love your soul, and so much of my dreams and yours that were never told. It's going to be a brighter day. Yeah. Ooh, I miss when you say, ooh, I want to kiss you. Do that again. Tell me why the road turns. Do it again. I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns. Tell me why I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns. Oh, oh, Smokey, I miss you. I miss you, darling.
That's just heavy. That's Michael Jackson's real parents. The sexual energy and chemistry between them is heavy. And she's talking about Smokey. You know, she's saying, Smokey, there's so many of our dreams that were never told, you know? This is not about Marvin Gaye. This is the song that's supposed to be about Marvin Gaye. But look at these two singing the song towards each other. It brings a whole new element of what this song is about. And why are they so joyous and this heavy, heavy sexual chemistry is taking place between them and shit, right? It is just crazy that it's like I said, I did not create this. This was there for me to find. And it's only there for me to find because of what I'm telling you is true. That's why all this stuff is there. So now, I'm going to show you one other thing that relates to the story, but I want you guys to see this because this relates to who we are as a society and how all of us people, how we've been influenced by Hollywood and stuff. And what happened with Hollywood is, in the old days, Hollywood had to give some really quality. There had to be quality coming out of Hollywood. If it wasn't quality, the people would have never trusted it and believed it. And then what happens now is we trusted Hollywood to relate to us this quality information. They gained our trust so that now because this movie's made in the 70s. This is a movie called Network. So it says 1976. And they would do stuff like this so that we would trust them. So they could then now get to the time now in the state that we're in now where they're totally taking control. That what they're saying is that by the year 2030 that they're going to have control over everything and the new world order will be in place and they've created this new world order thing that they've done, right? But so in order for them to be able to establish that new world order of what they had done, they had to get us to trust them. They had to get us to trust Hollywood and trust the media, that these were quality sources of information and that these were quality people connected to God and all that stuff. That's why you've seen all the quality stuff that did come out of Hollywood. But what happens is Hollywood got to take ownership of that, and that's how they gained our trust, and they deceived us over long periods of time. You got to understand that these people that are working on this end game, that they're willing to sacrifice over a long period of time, and that's what they've done to us as a society. And this guy here in this movie, he perfectly expresses like what's taking place.
George Ruddy died today. Edward George Ruddy was the chairman of the board of the Union Broadcasting Systems, and he died at 11 o'clock this morning of a heart condition, and woe is us. We're in a lot of trouble. So, a rich little man with white hair died. What has that got to do with the price of rice, right? And why is that woe to us? Because you people and 62 million other Americans are listening to me right now. Because less than 3% of you people read books. Because less than 15% of you read newspapers. Because the only truth you know is what you get over this tube. Right now, there is an entire generation that never knew anything that didn't come out of this tube. This tube is the gospel. The ultimate revelation. This tube can make or break presidents, popes, prime ministers. This tube is the most awesome goddamn force in the whole godless world. And woe is us if it ever falls into the hands of the wrong people. And that's why woe is us that Edward George Ruddy died. Because this company is now in the hands of CCA, the Communication Corporation of America. There's a new chairman of the board, a man called Frank Hackett, sitting in Mr. Ruddy's office on the 20th floor. And when the 12th largest company in the world controls the most awesome goddamn propaganda force in the whole godless world, who knows what shit will be peddled for truth on this network? So you listen to me. Listen to me. Television is not the truth. Television is a goddamn amusement park. Television is a circus, a carnival, a traveling troupe of acrobats, storytellers, dancers, singers, jugglers, sideshow freaks, lion tamers, and football players. We're in the boredom-killing business. So if you want the truth, go to God. Go to your gurus. Go to yourselves. Because that's the only place you're ever going to find any real truth. But man, you're never going to get any truth from us. We'll tell you anything you want to hear. We lie like hell. We'll tell you that Kojak always gets the killer and that nobody ever gets cancer in Archie Bunker's house. And no matter how much trouble the hero is in, don't worry, just look at your watch. At the end of the hour, he's going to win. We'll tell you any shit you want to hear. We deal in illusions, man. None of it is true. But you people sit there day after day, night after night, all ages, colors, creeds. We're all you know. You're beginning to believe the illusions we're spinning here. You're beginning to think that the tube is reality and that your own lives are unreal. You do whatever the tube tells you. You dress like the tube. You eat like the tube. You raise your children like the tube. You even think like the tube. This is mass madness, you maniacs. In God's name, you people are the real thing. We are the illusion. So turn off your television sets. Turn them off now. Turn them off right now. Turn them off and leave them off. Turn them off right in the middle of the sentence I'm speaking to you now. Turn them off.
And then the audience applauds, they play the music and stuff, so it's like it desensitizes you to what you actually just saw and witnessed and experienced, and then they bring in the Hollywood movie magic and glitter and put you right back into your trance. It's, oh, it's Hollywood, and it's like, oh, well, just you go on your life and it's just entertainment and shit, you know? It's fucking brutal and shit. So, this is Diana Ross. And now, what's super important about this, 1970, okay? Diana Ross on the Merv Griffin Show, 1970, okay? So the Jacksons go to Motown in like 69, you know? They basically, then they moved to LA and stuff, and they start, you know, right around that time, right around 1970 and stuff, right? At which the time Diana Ross is filming the movie Lady Sings the Blues, which she's playing the character Billie Holiday. That's where the Billie comes from the Billie Jean of what I said. Okay, so here, go and watch this part.
And we have one of them in the audience here with us.
Where?
We have Michael Jackson somewhere out there. Is he out there? Where is he? There he is. That's my child.
Hey.
That's Michael.
Okay, so, see, we have one of them. We don't have the Jackson 5. Diana didn't invite any, and like, how rude is it for Diana to allow Michael to come here and sit there? It's because it's about her and Michael. This is 1970, right the time I'm telling you that Michael's living in her house. She's taken him to the room and embraced him. Now she's trying to make a reconnection and have this relationship of all the past years that she's lost, right? To which the point that she's able to bring Michael away from that family, have Michael come sit in the audience by himself. I don't see any of the other Jacksons. And just like she says, we've got one of them here, one of them. And she says, there he is, that's my child. She's instantly referring to him as her child. That's my child. This is 1970. How would Diana Ross have built up a relationship and a friendship with Michael Jackson so quickly where she has isolated him away from the family of the dominant Joe Jackson, and he's just going to allow Diana to pull Michael away, start calling Michael her child on public television? This was allowed to happen, and you're going to say that Joe Jackson would allow this to happen, or did Joe Jackson really not have any choice? Because if Joe Jackson was going to speak up, then all Diana had to say is, hey, this is my child. Those Jacksons ain't shit. Michael's going to go be a star. Fuck all you Jacksons. Okay, so Joe allowed this to happen. He wasn't willing to lose everything, right? And this is why if you ever hear about Joe not liking Diana Ross, is because she was doing this shit. right? But now watch. Watch when Diana says, when she says that basically I do everything. She's bumbling through the words. She's trying to explain, because it's one of those things. She's trying to tell you the truth, but she's not trying to tell you the truth too. But then at the end here, when she says, basically I do everything for him. Okay, for him. She's just met this kid. Why would Diana Ross be saying that she's working so hard and trying to achieve all this greatness for him? Specifically him, not the kids. This isn't about children. This is not about the Jackson family. This has nothing to do with them. This has to do with one of them. The kid that she's calling her child. This one, Michael. This is the one.
You know, Linda.
Don't you know anybody? You got a better seat?
He's been incognito. You know, they make me work hard because I want to be something. I mean, I am. Michael has always been like a son or a brother or something to me, and
they make me work hard, you know, because and she's telling you, they make me work hard because Michael has always been. She just met this kid. See, when you actually listen to what she's saying, you just got to listen to what she's saying. When you take it in the context that Michael's part of the Jackson 5, he's just met this woman, this doesn't make any sense. And what she's saying here, what do you mean they make you work hard because of this kid? What do you mean? This kid came to Motown on his own. He's part of the Jackson 5. They've got their own thing going. Why do you need to work so hard to do anything for this kid when this kid made it to there on his own? That does not make any sense. And she's calling him my child, and she's specifically referring to him. She's not talking about doing it for all the children or all the Jacksons. It's not. She's clearly making it obvious that there's only one that she's interested in. And she's referring to him as my child. He's like a son to me. She's totally spilling the beans.
they admire me sort of like, so I try very hard to keep up such an image for them. And when I do a show like this, they usually sneak Michael in. I really didn't know he was going to be here. I heard about it, and I was hoping that he was here because it makes me a little bit stronger because I'm doing it basically for him.
It makes me a little bit stronger because I'm doing it basically for him. How could I make that up? My story, it's like if my story wasn't true, these words would not exist. What she's talking about here only relates to the reality that Michael's her child, that she had abandoned him as a child, and this perfectly emphasizes everything about what I'm saying. Is this is 1970. She's just met this kid, but look at how she's talking about him and how she's saying, they make me always work hard, and I'm doing it all for him, for the kid that she abandoned, and now she's got this relationship with him, and now they sneak Michael in without any of his brothers. How rude is that to have Michael just sitting there alone, without any of his brothers there? What's actually going on? This is the relationship that's occurring between Diana and Michael, her lost child, or the child that she had abandoned. She's clearly referring to him as her child. That's my child. He's always been like a son. What do you mean always? She just met this kid. She's just met this kid. They don't even have a year of a relationship, what should in the known world. They don't even have like a year of relationship. But look at how she's talking about him and how she's saying that they make me work so hard because everything I do is basically for him, not all children and not all the Jacksons. There's one kid sitting in there. See, we've got one of them in the crowd, and they sneak him in because they know that Michael makes me strong because I'm doing everything for him. This would not exist unless the story of what I'm showing you is true. All of the stuff I show you would not exist unless it's true. It's flat out, obviously true. This is how Michael Jackson ends up, and you go through Michael Jackson's life. How does he turn into Peter Pan? What's all the Peter Pan stuff about? What is all of this stuff all about? This is what it's about. But nobody cared, nobody could see it, up until which the point it caused Michael Jackson so much pain that he turns into a severe drug addict. He can't hang out with any adults because he's just sickened by their personalities and the questions of what they ask him, and they don't know the reality of what he's actually dealing with. He can't hang out with adults, so he's having to hang out with children, so he's being labeled a pedophile because of the pain of what all of this has occurred and brought onto him. He's tried to look for a little bit of comfort in his life, of which he found some of that in children because they had some innocence, the innocentness of the children, and and the ignorance. Because they were innocent and ignorant, that allowed Michael to hang out with those kids because it was just something that gave him a peace of mind, in which Michael ended up being called a pedophile because of that, and because of the pain, he couldn't ease all the pain because he can't spend all the time with children and do all that stuff, so you have it turn to drugs. This is what killed Michael Jackson. But for some reason, the fans, they just don't care. They just don't care. They think it's too hard. It's like, oh, it's so hard for you to just do a simple little investigation and question this. What do you think it was like for Michael Jackson, who had to spend his time and his whole life in front of the media and the public, and they're all calling him a Jackson. They all think they know everything, and they don't know. And I don't have to question how hard it was for him, because Michael Jackson ended up in isolation, dealing with severe mental pain and problems, which turns him into a severe drug addict, which kills him. But the fans think I'm crazy. Oh, I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad guy because I'm the one who actually was a fan enough to actually see the truth, and I've done the investigation. I'm out here single as one person fighting against a whole goddamn fucking world of idiots who just sit there and attack me and belittle me and put me down. Because I'm sitting here actually doing something that's fucking quality. And this is the world we live in. What's going to happen to me? Oh, you guys are going to turn me into a drug addict. I'm going to end up fucking dead, too.